What's happening, my Jack family? Coach Scott here, jackedafter40.com. If you're trying to get shredded after 40, but you've recently faced that dreaded fat loss plateau, you're in luck. Because in today's video, I'm going to be sharing the best approach to blast through your fat loss plateau, and it's also the simplest approach to take, because more often than not, I see men over 40 who face a fat loss plateau take drastic measures. They'll reduce their calories drastically, or they'll perform excessive, intense cardio and just end up beating themselves down, running themselves into the ground, and oftentimes not, that's going to lead to them throwing in the towel. So this approach that we're going to take today, it's simple, it's safe, it's smart, it's going to leave you feeling invigorated, empowered, and really set you up for long-term success. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that alert button so you're notified each time I upload a video. More than anything, I would love to hear from you down in the comment section below. Share your thoughts, share your insights, share your feedback and experiences. First and most important is to determine whether you're actually in a fat loss plateau or not. And this is where I have an issue with weekly weigh-ins. Now, if you followed my recent 4-week shred, you saw that I lost on average 2 pounds per week. But when I shared my daily weigh-in log, you would have noticed that there were some ups and downs along the way. The trend was downwards, but there were some days where I maintained my weight. There were some days where my weight went up. So if I was to weigh myself just one time per week, and it happened to be on that day where my weight stayed the same or it spiked up, it could throw off my interpretation of the kind of progress that I made throughout the week. Whereas if I gave it one more day, stepped on the scale the next day, I could see, oh geez, I've actually made progress. And the next day after that, even more progress. The weekly weigh-ins can really screw with your head. Daily weigh-ins can screw with your head as well. You really need to detach emotion from those weigh-ins and just consider it as data and just really look at the trend. You step on the scale, plot the data on the chart, move on, see what happens the next day, move on, see what happens the next day. It's the trend that you're going to look at. You're not going to make any kind of rash decisions based on one day. You're not going to make any rash decisions based on 1 week either. But you really need to determine whether you're actually in a fat loss plateau or not. And you need to make sure that there has been consistency during the past couple of weeks in order to reflect the accuracy of those numbers that you're seeing on the scale. So what you need to do is take a lifestyle audit. And the two most important things that you need to look at is stress and sleep. So if your sleep has been off and you've been more stressed than normal, those are the things that you really need to get a handle on first before you make any kind of adjustments at all. If your sleep has been great, it's been consistent, you're feeling pretty darn stress-free or no more stress than normal, then you can move on to the next things to evaluate. During the past 2 weeks, have you been any less active than you were earlier in this cutting phase? Do you find yourself getting home at the end of the day more tired than normal and you just sit yourself on the couch instead of being active and moving around and just being on your feet? Are you spending more time on your butt than normal? Maybe you were less active than normal on the weekend. Maybe you usually get out a little bit more and you just had a lazy, maybe the weather was crappy and it just kept you indoors and you had a movie day or whatever. Maybe you had more meetings at the office that you were sitting in a chair more often than normal. Just think to yourself, have you been less active? Not just in the gym. Maybe you get your workouts in, maybe you get your typical cardio in, but throughout the day, the little things. Have you been on your feet any less than you were in the previous weeks? And if that's the case, just get back to your regular activity levels. And the next thing to look at is, have you been as diligent with your nutrition tracking as you were in the previous week? So if that's not the case, if you've just been kind of loosely eyeballing your portion sizes, maybe you're really diligent with your tracking in the beginning and you thought, you know what, I'm doing pretty good here. I got a pretty good idea of my portion sizes. It could be a time to pull out this food scale, start weighing and measuring your foods and tracking it again in MyFitnessPal. Once again, even though you were doing really well in the beginning, it's an eye-opening experience to see how you can kind of easily steer away from that and start consuming a little bit more than you thought you were. And all the little things can really add up through the day, whether you're having mints or chewing gum. It's all those little things. Maybe you're making dinner for the family and you start just sneaking a few little things here and there. All those little things can add up. So if you haven't been as diligent with your tracking, it's time to spend a week being diligent again and just seeing where you're at to really determine whether you need to make a change with your caloric intake, caloric burn, or not. More often than not, that little lifestyle audit is enough to help men over 40 break through their fat loss plateau. Whether it's getting back to their regular sleeping habits, managing their stress a little bit better, just getting back to their regular activity, their regular movement with the family around the house outside of the gym, or just getting back to that diligent tracking again, just being aware of the food that they're consuming. That's enough to break them through. They didn't need to make any kind of drastic changes. It was simple. But in some cases, there do have to be some adjustments that need to be made. So if after this lifestyle audit you've determined that your sleep is good, you're managing your stress well, you're just as active as normal, and after a week of tracking, you've been consistently hitting your caloric target, some changes do have to be made here. And the first thing that I'd recommend you change is trying to move more, and doing so in a neat way, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, so stuff outside of the gym. I covered a lot of this in a recent video. I shared that instead of sitting at my desk, I now have a stand-up desk for my computer, and 8 hours standing versus 8 hours of sitting will burn an extra 300 calories a day. So you don't have to spend 8 hours a day on your feet. Maybe it's not conducive to your lifestyle, but just trying to spend more time on your feet throughout the day. When you're at the gym, instead of sitting between sets, pace around the gym. You could end up walking close to 3,000 steps in an hour-long workout. That's going to burn some extra calories throughout the day. Just find ways to move more in a fun way that really doesn't feel like exercise at all. Now, that's step number one. Step number two is to kind of add some other cardio activities into your training schedule, but make sure it's cardio that's going to improve your overall recovery and not interfere with your training or your recovery. My preferred method of cardio is definitely walking my dog, Chief. That's my favorite thing to do. So getting out walking, it's great for stress management, so that's going to help. It can help you sleep. It can help your mood. It's just great for your overall well-being. That would be my number one priority thing to add into your day, whether it's first thing in the morning or a way to wind down at the end of the day, a way to connect with a loved one or a friend. You just go out for a walk and talk, catch up together. The other thing could be just adding in 5 to 10 minutes on the rowing machine or stationary bike before or after your workout, or before and after your workout. So you're at the gym, you're getting in your hour workout or so. Adding in an extra 5 to 10 minutes is not going to be a big deal, but at the end of the week, it could really add up there. Just some extra activity, get the metabolism going, get the heart rate going, just burn a few extra calories there. So I would rather, before you make some changes to your nutrition, try to find ways to increase your overall activity. Now, if it's really challenging to increase your overall activity, if you don't have time to get out for a walk, if you don't have time to add an extra 10 minutes to your workout on the rowing machine, stationary bike, or anything like that, first and foremost, if you can stand more, yes. At the end of the day, if you find that you're sitting watching TV, try to do some active recovery stuff like some self-massage, down on the floor, rolling yourself out. At least there's some sort of movement there, but try to be on your feet as much as possible. But if all those bases are covered, then it's time to look at your nutrition. And before you go trying to micromanage your diet by manipulating meal timing or meal frequency or your macronutrient breakdown, start with a simple reduction of 100 calories per day. And I prefer that you keep the protein the same, roughly around 1 to 1.2 grams per pound body weight, and reduce the 100 calories from fat or carbohydrates. It's going to be personal preference. Maybe you find fats more satisfying than carbs. Maybe you find carbs more satisfying than fat, and the carbs give you more energy to get through your workout. It's really going to come down to personal preference for that, but just the basics of reducing your calories by 100 per day. Start there. Be consistent with it across the week. Be consistent with your activity, your sleep, your stress management, and evaluate from there. Just make subtle, small changes. I wouldn't make drastic drops in your caloric intake. increase your activity level more than anything, reduce the calories by 100 after that, and see how it goes from there. Just make subtle adjustments from there on. And a very important thing to know, if you have been dieting for an extended period of time here and you start making more reductions in your caloric intake and your calories are now really low and you're still not seeing any kind of fat loss progress, chances are it is time for a diet break. You're much better off just giving yourself at least a week, maybe a month, maybe even 6 weeks, where you just settle in at maintenance, give your mind and your body a break from dieting, and then get back at it and finish your cutting phase off from there. So we have our whole lives to get shredded. You don't want it to take your whole life, but spending 4 weeks, 6 weeks at maintenance in order to kind of boost your metabolism back up again, to give yourself a mental break, give your body a break from the dieting phase, it can end up getting this cutting phase, this fat loss phase, done and over with a heck of a lot faster than if you were to try to grind it out even more, trying to force yourself to move more, force yourself to eat less, and experiencing hunger and just not enjoying the process. It's not worth it at that point. But if you're kind of new into this, you've been dieting for maybe 8 weeks, maybe even 12 weeks, and you're at a plateau right now, some of these little subtle changes, simple changes, will be more than enough to kind of spark you through the home stretch. But if you've got a significant amount of weight to lose, I would be planning in diet breaks throughout the way anyways. So if you think it's going to take you 48 weeks to shed fat, to finally get shredded after 40, I'd be planning some diet breaks in there every 12 to 16 weeks. Whether it's just a 1 week diet break, when it's planned like that, that can work incredibly effectively, rather than waiting until things crash and burn and then you have to spend an extended period of time in a diet break before you can continue on. So something to consider there. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope this helps you blast through your fat loss plateau. If you enjoyed this, please hit that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that alert button so you're notified each time I upload a video. More than anything, I want to hear from you down in the comment section below. Share your thoughts, share your insights, share your own personal experiences with us. We're learning and growing and sharing this journey together. Before you go, don't forget to download your free guide, Jacked After 40. Hope you have yourself an absolutely amazing day. I'll catch you in the next video.